Chapter 7. All right. After years of saving and waiting, Mom was able to tell her children that she had a plan to get them out of the toxic environment. There was hope that we could leave the house we felt trapped in. There was a house she was trying to purchase so we could have a safe place to grow. We were enrolled in a new school district, and we were packing and prepared to leave the only house we had ever known. Hope of a stable future was shattered when the plan to buy the house fell through. Mom couldn't afford the house. Mom did find us a place to go so we could stay in the new school district. A duplex would have to do. Maroon carpets, yellow walls, and 3 bedrooms for 4 females. The duplex wasn't ready for us to move in yet, but we still needed to go to school. Mornings became extra difficult for the first few weeks of school. While still living in the house we felt trapped, Mom drove us 45 minutes away every school morning to get to school. Because of our age gaps, every sister was at a different school. Every school had different start times. High school started the earliest. 20 to 30 minutes later, the second daughter could enter the middle school. I was now in 5th grade and had an extra 30 to 45 minutes before school to wait. Waiting gave me time to magnify my anxiety about school. Mornings were still a battle every day, and my emotions had more control over me than I had over them. My teacher noticed I was struggling emotionally. My teacher became my safety net at school. I knew she would understand and listen to what I was explaining. It was not easy to hide that I was throwing up going into the building. I feared having a repeat of my previous experience in school with kids my age. I could not stop myself from throwing up when my emotions got out of control. It wasn't long before my life stressors caused severe painful eczema on the top of my hands and onto my wrists. My 5th grade teacher changed the course of my life. My 5th grade teacher would let me come into the classroom 20 minutes early. My mom was able to get to work that much quicker, and I was able to get settled in the room without all the other children overwhelming me. School became less of a concern, and I was starting to make friends. My grades were good and reading was fun. Harry Potter was a new series. My name became known in the nurse's office. I requested to be sent home often. Many of my ailments were created in my emotional brain, so no one could see my sickness. What everyone could see was the stress-induced, painful redness that was spreading on top of my hands. My hands itched, but if I scratched, my skin would break. Medications the doctors would tell my mom to use felt like fire on my skin. Mom purchased every lotion or cream we could think of. Oatmeal lotion was my only relief after months of suffering. My skin was so damaged, I would apply a thick layer of lotion directly on the painful areas. I would not rub the lotion in, but I would wait for my skin to absorb the lotion. I could feel the moisture being pulled down by my injured skin and cells, drinking it like water. The itch would go away slowly as my skin healed, but it wasn't until my parents' divorce was final that my skin truly healed. 5th grade picture day was traumatic. Life at home was broken, so I got to school unprepared. I was at the age when body image issues begin. I hated the way I looked in a mirror. I had chipmunk cheeks and a round face. My sisters had small bodies, but mine was big. Most kids my age were much smaller. I felt out of place. I was wearing a tank top because that was the only shirt I could find. I called my mother broken when I discovered it was picture day. There was nothing she could do. After school, my mom would pick me up. Mom collected all 3 sisters and brought us all back to her office job. Without a college education, Mom took the jobs she could. Her boss was empathetic to our situation and allowed us to be at the office after school until Mom was finished with her work. It was 2 to 3 hours of doing our homework and waiting in their break room. The second daughter's eyesight was declining so badly that she was the one of the youngest humans the doctor had ever allowed contacts. She would suffer for this decision later. The glasses prescription the middle sister needed would not fit in child frames. Broken glasses because of an active child was a thing of the past. Each daughter needed glasses or contacts. We spent hours upon hours in ophthalmologist waiting rooms. We spent hours upon hours in chiropractic office waiting rooms. And my sisters spent hours upon hours waiting for me to be finished at the dentist's office. By this time, I'd already had 4 teeth removed, a butterfly expander, and uncountable cavities. Luckily, my father still provided his children insurance because the medical bills cost a lot of money my mom did not have. Nothing was going to stop our mother from helping us be healthy. Our father continued to withhold money from my mom. The courts had to be involved to force my father to pay court-ordered child support. My father was so determined not to give his children money that my mother was forced to require the funds to be taken out of his paycheck by his job before his paycheck was sent to him. It was a painful process to get our father to provide more than the absolute bare minimum. We saw that he cared more about keeping his money than helping his children thrive. We saw he didn't care. His actions were speaking louder than his words. Every daughter saw the emotional and physical damage done to our mom. The damage done to us by our father could not be denied. The singer, Jewel, has a song named Daddy. I would play this song loudly while at his house or any chance I got with friends. Lyrics included, I want to rip out your throat. It's an angry song that gave me words to how I felt. Jewel's words gave me comfort. We now had a new life. Now it was the time for healing and start growing into the people we wanted to become. Mom worked tirelessly to keep us going. She held a day job and even a night job. She already had insomnia and didn't sleep on a regular basis. Instead of laying in her bed, tossing and turning, Mom worked. Sometimes we got to go to deliver the newspapers. The maroon minivan became a delivery truck and a place to sleep when we got tired of helping. She got a cell phone so that we could reach her in the middle of the night because she had no other choice than to leave us alone while she earned meager amounts of money. We never worried about having food, but we worried about being homeless. Month to month, rent was due no matter if the money was in the bank or not. Christmas that year was the year we learned it's not about the gifts you get. Mom cried over the fact that we had to learn that lesson at all. Money was always tight. Every dollar counted. One morning, Mom found a mysterious envelope on her car window. It contained a $100 bill. There was no note. And to this day, the person who left that money is still a mystery. She used that money to buy us each one gift. When we left the house, we did not bring a Christmas tree. So the oldest sister made a tree out of green construction paper on the wall so we had something to put our 3 gifts under. Eventually, we upgraded to a fabric tree made from sewing class in school. I had so many toys in my room that I used a large square area in the garage. Mom put down some carpet so I could sit in the garage and play with my Barbies. I was able to leave them out while I wasn't playing and they weren't in anyone's way. The rest of the garage was filled with boxes. We went from a home to a duplex, so not all of our things would fit. We knew where we were was not going to be a permanent residence, so we didn't bother unpacking. My favorite place in the duplex was a nook under the stairs in the bathroom. It was an unfinished, dusty place. I brought pillows and blankets inside so I could read alone. Small spaces felt safe. Even though I had my own room, under the stairs was also mine. The sisters did use this space for a science fair experiment with plants and different colored lights. Learning is fun. My sisters shared a room because they got along the best. Mom is mom, so she got her own room. We all knew she cried alone in her room a lot. She tried to hide her pain, but we saw it. Never once did she talk negatively about our father. She let us say whatever we needed to, but she never added to it. We were able to talk to our mom about anything. We confessed when we did things wrong, and we celebrated when we did things correctly. In hopes to relieve some anger and stress, Mom hung a punching bag in the rafters so all her daughters could work out aggression in a safe way. Instead of yelling at each other or physically fighting, we could hit something that wouldn't get hurt. The garage became an extension of the house. One sister punched the punching bag with a screwdriver. Without knowing it, our house became the smelly house. Tiger Lily was still with us and peeing everywhere. Friends would come over once and not want to come back. Upon entering the duplex, the smell would surround you. After a few moments, we would acclimate to the smell and not notice it anymore. We became immune to the ammonia stench. Living in the smell didn't make a difference to us because we didn't notice yet. Eventually, the hamster we had left died, and we gave Tiger Lily to a friend that could provide her a better life. We couldn't take care of her special needs, so it was understood by everyone it was best for the cat. TV was a large part of my time in the smelly house. I had a hard time going to school, and I felt safe at home. On the days I was allowed to stay home, I would watch TV. The oldest sister provided me a spreadsheet for the TRL countdown of music videos. I knew the name of the song, the artist, and the CD for every song for a year's worth of countdowns. I knew what time it was only because of what was on TV. I gained a lot of weight sitting and watching TV. I would drink multiple cans of soda while sitting on the couch, numbing myself to the rest of my life. For the first time, I had the choice of what to watch. My father no longer controlled the rules or the remote. I watched South Park, feeling like I was the biggest rebel. Our new street had other kids that were my sister's age group. They would hang out with kids after school and on weekends. I'd tag along. We learned a lot of culture from those kids. Our father had kept us naive about things in the world. We didn't know current bands unless it was on TRL. Boys on the cul-de-sac convinced my sisters they were Green Day. There was a sharp learning curve entering a world we knew so little about. It was always good to play outside. It was safe on the cul-de-sac. The only cars that came by were cars that lived on the street. And during the winter, the snow was piled into large mountains. We would dig out caves and have snowball fights. One day, we even saved a hurt duck. We made Mom drive 2 hours to a vet that would not put the duck down. Mom needed help from us keeping the house clean and functional. She trained us all to rinse our dishes and put them straight in the dishwasher. We had never had a dishwasher before. All the daughters were given chores. Mine was vacuuming. I hated vacuuming the stairs the most. Once I tried to do laundry, but I messed it up. I put laundry detergent in the dryer, but luckily all the detergent landed on the middle sister's pants. And she was not happy when she wanted to wear them that day, but at least I didn't ruin the dryer. Life was better, but all four of us were only surviving. Most times it was my sisters and I alone in the duplex. Mom worked as much as possible, so we entertained ourselves. Leaving 3 girls alone led to some shenanigans. Pieces of furniture we had brought with from the previous house were foldable chairs. When unfolded, the pieces of foam made a good place to lay down. Our plan was to ride the unfolded chair down the stairs like the slide in Home Alone. Our stairs did not lead out the front door, but into a wall. It was fun, but we did not make it to the wall. Our plan was anticlimactic and ended up ripping the fabric seams so the chairs never folded the same again. The oldest sister liked her pizza well done, and one day her pizza was so well done, it became our frisbee. Together, we laughed and we flung around a burned pizza. The duplex was not a large home that we were used to. Three sisters stuck together for hours led to quite a few arguments. The middle sister was usually easygoing, and it took a lot for her to lose her temper. The worst time she lost her temper at the duplex was entertaining. For once, I wasn't the sister involved in the fight. The sisters sharing a room had been together too long. I witnessed a sister bring a bundle of clothes downstairs. The fight had escalated so badly that my sister was holding an open bottle of bleach above the opposing sister's clothes. With one splash, all the clothes would be ruined. My father always controlled the computer before. Mom had no clue about computers, and neither did her daughters. What we did know is that we needed one for school. I didn't play games on our computer. I used the computer to write. Mom could not afford to take me to therapy anymore. Mom couldn't afford to go to therapy herself. Most of the friends my mom had made in therapy had moved away or stopped therapy. It was difficult to talk to my mom about my pain because I knew she was carrying her own burdens. I knew what we were going through wasn't normal. I couldn't confide in my sisters, so I would write. I didn't care if anyone saw. I knew no one would probably read what I was writing, but I wrote anyway. Writing my story made me feel better. Mom had to go to work earlier than when school started, and in the duplex, I was left alone for 20 minutes before I could enter school. We lived close enough that I no longer went in early. I was expected to walk to school on my own, and often this was a problem. I would call my mom and beg her to call the school and say I wasn't going to be there. I feared being in trouble, so if my mother didn't call, I would go. Going late was not an option. I didn't want to get my mom in trouble either, so I would listen even if I cried or threw up on the way. Most kids didn't see me throw up on the way, and I hated the crossing guard that made me zipper my coat. My emotional distress would make my body temperature rise. Having my coat open in the cold would help keep my temperature down. I was more likely to throw up if I was hot. Being cold helped keep my nausea away. And every other weekend, life came to a stop. The courts required all three sisters to spend 2 nights and 1 full day in his custody. I don't remember an adult asking if I wanted to spend time with an adult that had a police history of aggression and violence against me. The court only thought about what our father wanted, and because the sisters were not 16, our voices were silenced. Family therapy court was ordered multiple times. If my father didn't like the therapist, the whole situation stalled. My father was very good at stalling court proceedings. For months, weekends were dreaded. The house we returned to was barren and cold. Shampoo and conditioner froze in the bottle while sitting on the bathtub's edge. Changing the thermostat was not an option because we feared his wrath. In attempts to persuade my father to make the house warmer, I put blue marker on my lips like lipstick to illustrate how cold I felt. Our pleas to be comfortable were never acknowledged. Dead bugs were on windowsills. None of the sisters wanted to be at his house, and we made our emotions known. Our father had refused to hear our words. We had been screaming at him for years. Sleeping at that house was impossible. Every noise made me think that he was coming to get me in the dark. 2 sisters had to share a bed, but we liked to share a room. We brought all of our pillows and blankets from home. We brought everything from home that we would need over the weekend. He provided the bare minimum. Many times I tried to use my written words to reach him. I would write pages of examples of how I felt and why. I wanted him to understand what had gone wrong. I still had hope he would finally listen. Every letter ended in a disappointing conversation. It was never his fault. He never gave a true apology. Every time my emotions and perceptions were dismissed, I grew more angry. One of the few times all sisters worked together was on a list of names for our father. We typed lists and lists of names that were as cruel and demeaning that we could come up with and apply to him. Names that showed disdain we felt for him, including every swear word we could think of or create. We were never encouraged by our mother to speak ill of our father. Constantly, she told us that her relationship with him was different, and we were allowed to feel differently about him than she did. We did not have to hate him because she did. He gave us a reason after reason to hate him. We hated him because of the choices he was making. We hated how his choices affected our lives. On my 11th birthday, I was forced to be in his custody. I remember how old I was because I fought with my father over my age in front of the ticket booth at a movie theater. I was so excited to be 11. 11 years is very big in the Harry Potter world. My father wanted me to stop talking because if I was 11, that meant he had to pay more for my ticket. I was so angry that I refused to sit near him and my sisters. I was going to pout in the back by myself, covered in my coat. I was not prepared for the movie my father decided to see. We watched a woman get gang raped while she was tied spread eagle to metal posts. The General's Daughter was the film, and I remember it clearly. The movie haunts me. As soon as I was home, I told my mother. She was furious at his decision. He faced no consequences, but my life was changed. My perspective on life and humans was damaged. Because we were in the car with my father more often, it made my mom nervous. It was not uncommon for my father to drive over 85 miles an hour and maneuver between cars. Road rage doesn't describe it, but there's an intensity that helps us remember our seatbelt. Each daughter received a necklace with our most important medical information. Our blood type and allergies were listed along with our name and our mother's phone number. Anytime we were with our father, I wore my necklace, and it made me feel safer. Every other year on my birthday was dictated by the court. What the court didn't account for was that my birthday sometimes falls on Father's Day. When it was my mom's year for my birthday, it was also Father's Day. I refused to buy him a gift or say he was a good father. That resulted in a reduction in birthday gifts I received that year and for many years after. During meals, our kitchen seats had rollers on them to make moving easier. Fueled by anger, just as my father was sitting down into his chair, I kicked it. The rollers moved the chair out from under him as I watched him fall to the floor. The moment made me feel powerful. I could finally do something to get back at him for all the pain he caused. Each sister took their turn playing mean pranks on our father. During a dinner he had cooked for us, the oldest sister took out a bottle of Tabasco sauce. My mom barely used salt and pepper, so sisters saw Tabasco sauce as pure fire while adding it to his drink. When our father's back was turned, the oldest sister leaned over and tried to pour the Tabasco in. We were not aware that it dripped out. In panic, she shakes the bottle multiple times quickly and sits back down. In anticipation, all three of us wait for the reaction as he finally takes a drink. There was no reaction. In shock, the sisters look at each other. Nothing happened. Dad was normal and didn't show that we had put anything in his drink. For years, we believed our prank didn't work. It was 30 years later that I would find out his reaction. Anger had infested our personalities. Many times arguments turned physical between daughters 1 and 3. The oldest sister had back problems and physical ailments, but it didn't stop her from jumping on my back. As a reaction, I slammed her backwards into the stairs. We wanted to hurt each other. Our anger towards our father and our life was infecting the relationship with each other. We couldn't hurt our father, but we could hurt each other. Whenever we went back to the old house, it was a boring waste of time. We would sit at the house while our dad did other things. Most times I entertained myself by playing DX Ball or Commander Keen on his computer. I still wanted to play Battleship, but I couldn't find the game anymore. I never knew where my favorite game went. My cousin still lived next door, but our relationship had shifted. He still loved the world I hated and ran away from. The day we had waited for was here. June 25th, 1998, the divorce that had consumed years was finalized. Our mother was no longer married to our father. While our mother was away at court and finalizing the papers, the sisters decorated. Using our computer paper and printer, we used all the ink to print a banner, Happy Divorce Day. We celebrated and felt free. Being alone is hard. When Mom would talk about a friend, the sisters were always encouraging. We were happy to see her supported and valued. When we lived in the duplex, Mom brought home a man. We were thrilled to see him. The moment he walked into our door, we bombarded him with whatever we had on the top of our minds. Our energy or problems from the past didn't scare him away. The longer he was around, the longer we wanted him to stay. He worked crazy hours, so we noticed it made my mom sad sometimes. He lived far away, so we slept at his newspaper delivery business office often. We would visit so she could see him for a few minutes. The relationship didn't last long, but I still have the gifts he gave to my mother. He made her smile, and he would not he made her smile, but he would not put my mom or her children as his top priority. Rarely did our fathers have activities planned for us. I was excited to show him my new blue jean slip-on shoes with a little bit of backlift. They were comfortable and I wanted to wear them all the time. When I packed for our required visitation, I expected to be spending the weekend at the usual spot. I was wrong and woefully unprepared. It took a while for the 3 sisters to notice, but the route Dad took back to the house was different. We didn't know where we were anymore. It was scary because this was before cell phones. We had no way to contact our mom. We begged our dad to tell us where we were going. Insisting that it be a surprise, he gave us no information. And finally, we arrived at the state park of Starved Rock. I got out of the car in my new shoes into a gravel parking lot. Rocks and dust immediately coated my sandals and feet. I'm already upset. The next thing I know, a large, loud woman with thin, short black hair is walking towards us. My father is thrilled to see her and walks towards her for a hug. I immediately want to crawl back into the car I've just escaped from and cry. I want to go home, and there is no way to contact my mom. I'm trapped. There are 2 female youths that begin talking to my sisters. We are now a group of 2 adults and 5 female teenagers. I hated every minute. I was not informed of our plans, so I had not known to bring the correct shoes, clothes, or bug spray. My shoes were not meant for hiking, and I was being eaten alive by bugs. I started to get hangry too, but my father and his girlfriend are unfamiliar with how to deal with me. I was not making a good impression on my future stepmother. The day was not over. It was time to go canoeing in the lake. I did not want to go, but I could not be left behind. It was decided I would be in a canoe with my father and middle sister. I needed her near me. Within the first minute, our canoe flips and I'm in the water. Panic sets in. I was already almost broken emotionally, and now I'm underwater. I could feel the current pulling me quicker than I expected. I am a good swimmer, but I was in almost shock. I found my sister and she helped me stand up. Yes, we could stand up and we were not really in danger. I was broken and I would never forgive him. My new shoes were ruined. I just wanted to be at home with my mom and never see the new additions to our family again. I could only go to the middle sister for support. She was patient, kind, and loving towards me. It was her innocence and gentleness that made me love her. She had her demons and dealt with them differently. She told me she would never be upset with me for the truth, as long as she hears it from me and not someone else. Growing up as the first child and seeing the most dysfunction out of all three girls, the oldest daughter had much to work through. When mom was busy, the first daughter picked up the slack. She did it by choice and instinct to help our mom when she was struggling. The older sister cleaned and cooked. We worked together, but she took on most responsibility that should not have been hers. With innocent intentions, her actions would anger me often. We fought, emotionally and physically. Mom confided in me that she truly thought when we became adults we would not speak to each other. My oldest sister could not be my friend, but she was always my sister. When it mattered most, she was taking care of me. She made sure I stayed safe when mom couldn't be around anymore. As a child, I could not understand what she was going through. I only saw her as a bossy sister. Any hate we felt towards each other would melt away if it meant protecting our mom. Our lives were a roller coaster of emotions that we had no control. Our mom did her best to give us what control she could. Mom was our safe place. Our voices were heard and our emotions were valid with our mom. She never punished us by taking our friends away. I never felt trapped by punishments. I felt disciplined and I always knew what I had done wrong. As long as it was a punishment from my mother, I knew it was from love. I knew that if I needed to talk to someone, I always could. My mom did not get her deposit back when it was time to leave the duplex. Between the cat urine and the spray snow we had put all over the windows, there was a lot of cleaning to do in the duplex. We tried to fix what we could, but with no budget, no tools, and no fix-it skills, not much was effective. At the time of the lease expiration, we did not know where we were going to go. Mom searched for a home for us, but it was difficult on our budget. We needed to stay in the area so we could stay in the same schools. When the day came to leave the duplex, we had no permanent place to go. We had a 2-week gap before our next residence was ready. Our stuff went to a storage unit, and we went to a motel. A red roof inn with 2 beds became our prison. Limited TV, 1 small bathroom with 2 beds, no kitchen, but we did have a bathtub. It was a rough 2 weeks because of the first daughter and the youngest daughter were too close for too long. One night we fought so intensely, I slept in the bathtub. I could not stand being in the same room as her. At times, I truly hated her. I stayed home from school a few times during that 2 weeks. It was a rare event that I made it 2 weeks in school without being absent at least once. My time alone during the day was treasured. I swear one day I hit a fly with a pen to entertain myself. When the maid would come to clean the room, I would get scared I'd be in trouble for being there. The door was always deadbolted with the do not disturb sign on the handle. The time the motel felt longer The time at the motel felt longer than 2 weeks, and we were happy to go anywhere else. The duplex had not been home, but it had been safe. It was stable for a short time, and during that time, I knew that feeling of stability was what I was searching for. We couldn't stay at the hotel any longer, but we had nowhere else to go. After a difficult search, Mom found an apartment complex on the opposite side of our town. Instead of walking to the school now, we had to drive 25 minutes away. The second and third daughters thankfully went to the same school. We had a front balcony on the second floor that served as our volleyball court. The goal was to control the ball so we didn't have to go downstairs to get it. Whoever lost the ball had to go get the ball. Having more space to live helped relieve some tension between all of us. The middle sister would convince us to go running in the apartment complex. I refused to let her run more than me, to the point of giving myself an asthma attack. After completing the run with my sisters, my face felt hot. It was hard to breathe and my chest hurt. As soon as my oldest sister looked at me, she knew something was wrong. After trying to help me breathe for a few minutes, her solution was to put me in the cold shower. I did not have an inhaler. I wasn't aware I had asthma. My breathing went back to normal and we all went on with our evening. We lived in the complex for about a month or two. While living in the apartment, the oldest sister convinced our mom to agree to a CD club. We all got to pick 4 CDs. I chose Aqua, Matchbox 20, Third Eye Blind, and Plum, not knowing if I would even like the music. Eventually, I got the Chumbawamba CD. I would lie on the back balcony in my sleeping bag listening to the CDs over and over again. Matchbox 20 was my angry music, while Chumbawamba was my encouraging music, trying to fight away the depression. Listening to Jewel sing helped soothe my soul. The tiny back balcony on the second floor was my safe place. It was large enough for a sleeping bag to spread out. I yearned for a home again. We had been on the move with only a portion of our things unpacked for so long. I was tired of living out of suitcases and boxes. I was at another new school. I had to start over trying to make friends at the lowest part of my life. Throwing up at school was rare these days, but I still had a hard time with attendance and anxiety. Things with my sisters were better, but I still felt alone. Mom was still suffering and working herself to the bone. She tried to hide how exhausted she was, but we saw. With no relief in our future, depression took a hold of my life. Church helped keep my mom going. When we were in a new area, every Sunday we tried a new church. We went together as a group. Luckily, because of my age, I got to stay with my middle sister when we started looking for a church home. I needed my middle sister. She was my safety net at school, and she was my best friend. It was clear when we found our church home. All the sisters had friends and looked forward to Sundays. Youth group was on Wednesdays. I would live my weeks from church time to church time. We spent as much time as possible with friends from the church. Life at home was chaotic and messy. Church offered stability and support. Even though money was tight, the church allowed us to go on camping trips and other youth retreats. All 3 sisters were always allowed to go if we wanted, even if we couldn't pay. Those were the best years I'd ever had. I was a part of the cool group. I was accepted and I had friends. My favorite book series was a new movie out in theaters. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was the first movie I saw at a fancy movie theater. 30 years later, my children would see movies at the same movie theater. My mom took me out of school as a special treat to see the movie, just the 2 of us. So much was going wrong. Going to see my favorite characters on the big screen, sitting in a comfy chair, was the fanciest I had ever felt. My mom made me feel special. When the Harry Potter movies were confirmed, I desperately wanted to be cast as Hermione. Acting in theater was a world I wanted to be a part of. My love for theater and acting went unnoticed. I did not have the confidence to join that world. And almost done with 6th grade, Mom found us a home. We were away at church youth camp when Mom bought it. When she told the sisters the news, at first we were upset. We wanted to be a part of choosing the house. What if we hate it?